Hey everybody, it's Miasma from Gyre Media, and today we're going to be going over my top 10 favorite male anime characters of all time. Now, there are some rules that I've set for this. I have to have finished the series, so it can't be something that I've watched like a lot of episodes of and aren't caught up on or something. I tried to avoid really long-running like shonen kind of stuff for the most part. There's some slight exceptions to this, but you're not going to see anybody from like DBZ or Naruto. And the reason for that is because I feel like those shows kind of have a lot of characters that I really like. So it'd be kind of hard to pick one. And lastly, I've limited it to one character per series. And that includes like multiple seasons and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I followed that rule pretty well. Without further ado, let's get into it. This first guy, starting at number 10, this one kind of goes against a character archetype that I usually kind of pick on and I really hate. And that's Yato from Noragami. Now, Yato, the kind of character that he is, the one that I just mentioned that I usually don't like, is the kind of guy who acts silly a ton of the time, but he's really, like, badass deep down. Think of, like, a Rurouni Kenshin, I know that's not really his name, but the guy from Rurouni Kenshin and Vash the Stampede from Trigun. These are characters that I usually really don't like. And it's just, I mean, I get that they're like badass in their own way, but I just dislike constant like comedic jokes and like just them getting like beaten up by like little like kids around them. Oh, isn't that funny? You know, oh, look at him eat all that food. Isn't that funny? And then it turns out that he's like, you know, he hasn't like trained in forever or anything, but he's still like this badass at heart. Like I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Yato, I mean, I'm a little hypocritical on this in this regard because he is really silly a lot of the time. You don't find out a lot of his like cool backstory as. For those of you who haven't seen Noragami, he is. Yato is a god. He's a very low-ranking god. Not a lot of people or fellow gods even know that he exists. And he does anything for 5 yen. That's a kind of a major point in the show. He'll clean your house. He'll watch your cat. He'll watch your kids. He'll, wash your car. And he'll do all this stuff for just 5 yen, just to kind of get noticed, with the hopes of getting a shrine someday. But without spoiling too much, you do learn later on that he has a pretty cruel and dark past. And he's actually really badass. He's a really good swordsman. He's very good at slaying these Ayakashi things, these like demon things. And he's just a pretty cool character, a little hypocritical of what I typically don't like. But I think with him it works, because he's a god that people just kind of like don't notice. And he isn't. I mean, he suppresses what he really is at times, but he has like really strong reasons to do so. And yeah, I mean, I know those other guys might have reasons to do so, but I don't like him, and this is my list. So, at number 9, if you've been following me for any amount of time, really, I've mentioned the show over and over again, and I've mentioned this character over and over again. That is Rei Kiriyama. Who is the main character of March Comes In Like a Lion, or Sangatsu no Lion, a show that aired late 2016 and is in its 2nd season right now. Please go check those out. I have a whole video dedicated to this show, but I don't think I've really talked about this main character enough because he is so cool. So Rei is a pro shogi player at like a high school age. I believe he's like 16, and he's a really good shogi player, and he's on his way up the ladder of being one of the best shogi players in all of Japan. And that's all well and good, but he has a very tragic past, and he has a lot of issues with depression, social anxiety, a lot of like self-doubt. And as good as he is, it's also, as much as it's a blessing, it is also a curse on him. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that's everything's going to be good for you. It really stresses him out at times, and certain even like moves in shogi he'll just think about for days and days and days, and he really obsesses over it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. You can have kind of an unhealthy obsession with something that you could be good at. And I think sometimes that could end up, taking over your life, and you got to, realize that there's other things. And the show is partially about him sort of realizing that there are other things in your life other than shogi. But yeah, I really like Rei Kiriyama. Watch March Crimson Like a Lion, really good show. At number 8, as I've said before, I really like a good revenge story, and this guy has a very good revenge story in his series, but I kind of feel like, because the show isn't really about him, he would have ranked higher on this list for me, but there just wasn't enough of him, and that's Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter. And I know that this image right here is from 1999, but it was a cooler image than what I was finding for the 2011 show, which is the one that I actually watched. And that show, as good as it was, it's 148 episodes long, and if you ask me, it kind of goes up and down, but this guy just got cooler as he was in the show. He starts off kind of like this like Sasuke Uchiha kind of like snobby dude. In fact, he's a lot like Sasuke because he's got this like revenge kind of thing. He has to avenge his clan, and who were killed by like this group of like assassin people, just like mercenaries. And that's his goal, is just he's going to avenge his clan, he's going to do whatever it takes to do it. And so he's training to become a hunter, to travel the world, and, avenge his loved ones. And that's pretty cool, but that's not all he's about. He's there for his friends, he cares about his friends, he will still stick up for them. He's kind of like a mediator in a lot of arguments and stuff like that. He's really level-headed. And when he does fight, he is badass. He has this like chain thing, and he develops way cooler moves and stuff as the series progresses. I will say this though: I wish he was in the series more. He's not in it as much towards the end, and I know they didn't like adapt the whole thing, but I kind of wish. I really like him a lot more than Gon, the main character of Hunter x Hunter, and I would have much preferred the anime if it was about Kurapika. But maybe I'm the minority opinion in that case. At number 7, this one I don't think you're going to see on a lot of people's favorite list. I'm kind of proud of that. But he makes it on here just because I was thinking about this list and I was like, what's a character that really stands out to me for what they did? And there's an anime film that I really love. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and it's called The Garden of Words, and I really love Takao. Now, Takao is one of the main characters in Garden of Words, which is a Makoto Shinkai movie with some of the best animation in the world, by the way. Love Shinkai. And he is a young, like, high school-aged kid who, unlike a lot of people who, like, don't know what they want in life, he really knows what he wants to do in life. He wants to make shoes. He wants to be a shoemaker. He just loves doing it. He studies up on it. He does it in his free time. And, he knows that's kind of like a weird niche hobby, but, he doesn't care about that, really. I mean, I don't think it's something he'd, like, openly talk about with a whole lot of people. And, to be honest, his family kind of, like, pushes him down with that kind of dream, which kind of sucks. But he keeps going. He perseveres through that. And there are other specific moments in the film that make him a very good character. There's a female lead in the movie, and at one point he has to do something for her. He has to stick up for her when she faces some scrutiny. I'll leave it at that. But there's a scene in the movie which really, really impressed me with his character, and with him like as a person. Like if he were a person in real life, I feel like I'd really like this guy. So that's why Takao makes this list. And I don't know. I think he's probably underrated. If you're ever making a top male anime character list, think about my man Takao here. At number 6. This guy will probably, just the opposite. He's probably going to make almost every favorite male character list. And that is Okabe from Steins Gate. And, that image is probably all you need to know. But Okabe, I have him on this list just because he is so funny. He's so all over the place. Whenever he's on the screen, it's making you laugh. Aside from this show his show Steins Gate does get pretty dark at times. But he's just such a character, he's just this like college-age dude who wears this lab coat all the time for like no reason, and he's just like a nerd, and just he thinks he's just like way smarter and stuff than he is, and it's just really funny. And when the show does get serious, you really feel for him, and he gets really like humanized later on, and yeah, he's another guy that you just like more and more as the series progresses. So I really like Okabe. Just like really like Steins Gate. I think you should check that out as well. At number 5, this one I tried to think of somebody kind of from a comedy show to kind of mix this up a little bit, because some of my main characters are either like villains or they're just like kind of like edgelordy kind of people. But I really like Ayamu from Is This a Zombie? I think he is. You can't really understand it from this picture, but this guy is a zombie. He can turn into a magic garment girl, like a Maho Shoujo kind of thing. And he's engaged to a vampire ninja. And he also has a romance with a necromancer. So that's why I like him. So Is This a Zombie, if you've never seen, is this crazy, wacky show. Basically about this guy who was just a normal high school dude. And he gets turned into a zombie for reasons, but it's not like he's still like him. He's only a zombie in this like weird sense where he can't like stay in sunlight for very long. And he's like pale all the time and stuff like that, but he doesn't eat brains or anything. And later on, the show is just ridiculous. It has all these like supernatural creatures and stuff like that, and it's like a sort of like a sitcom of these like group of supernatural beings living together. You got vampires, you got vampire ninjas, you got zombies, you got necromancers, like people with swords running around, just a lot of like really cool, crazy stuff. And it's a really fun comedy series, and I just like how this guy is like the anchor sort of it trying to be normal, because he's kind of a normal guy and all this stuff is just happening around him. And he's got girls like falling in love with him, and he's got crazy action sequences going on around him, and he kind of just wants to live a normal life. So I don't know, I really like Ayamu because I think he's down to earth, and he adds a lot to his series. At number 4, this is another series that's near and dear to my heart, and I had to pick out my favorite male character from that show, and that is Holland from Attica 7. Attica 7 is this huge coming-of-age story, 50 episodes long, Studio Bones, and it has a myriad of characters being 50 episodes long that are really good. But Holland really stands out because he's the leader of this like anti-government establishment called the Gecko State, and he was this like really cool like they have a thing called lifting, which is like surfing in the sky on like these mechs, and it sounds kind of crazy, but he used to be like one of the best at doing this in the world, and now he's this kind of like anti-government like mech fighter guy, and he's really cool. He's definitely multi-layered. He has serious aspects of him. He has like joking aspects of him. He has a tragic past. He has, he can be badass when he wants. He's really good at fighting like in his like mech thing, and he's really good at fighting hand to hand and with guns. And he's really protective of his crew. He would lay down his life for his crew in a heartbeat. While he doesn't show like his soft side very often, you kind of know it's there, and you know that he is still like a vulnerable person. And he does open up later on in the series. And he feels very human, and I like characters like that. At number 3, like I said, I like antagonists a lot. And this guy, he climbed super high on a lot of people's like most hated anime character list. But for some reason, I really, really like Izaya Orihara from Durarara. And, oh my god, he is just, first of all, character design. His jacket. I need to get me one of those jackets, and I need it in like a big guy size. I know they sell like cosplay ones, but I can't find it in my size. I love the dude's jacket. I love like the fur thing. I gotta get somebody to make that in real life. But I love his character design. I love Durarara. If you've never seen it, it's hard to kind of explain. It's more so a show about a city than a particular set of characters individually. But it's about the city, the section of the city, Ikebukuro. And it also throws in all these crazy supernatural elements at the same time. And in the midst of all this is this sort of like puppeteer in the shadows, this guy Izaya, who is like an information broker. Basically, he kind of like rats on people and like sells people out at times, and will hide information and stuff like that. He knows everything about everything that's going on in the city. He knows everybody. He knows who knows what, and he kind of controls it. And I liked his like control aspect, and I love he's voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, and it's just such a perfect voice for him. And he's just really he could be creepy and just like he's just one step ahead of you all the time. He's just like super intelligent, and he can hold his own in a fight. He's good at martial arts. He's good with that knife. He gets himself into a lot of like sticky situations, but he always manages to get out of it. Sometimes not always on his own, but he has a lot of connections. And I hate him in the series because but I love to hate him at the same time. So that's a cool mix there. I really like Izaya a lot. At number 2, this is a show that is near and dear to my heart, and another character that I see a lot of myself in. And it's kind of weird pertaining to like what happens in the series. But Brandon Heat from Gungrave. This is a show that I know a lot of people haven't seen. It's kind of like a cult thing. So like I said, I like revenge stories. And at its core, Gungrave is sort of like this like shoot 'em up kind of gangster eventual show turning into like a revenge story. And we get a lot of like background of this main guy here, Brandon Heat. And the show kind of chronicles his life living in like slums to basically becoming one of the strongest hitmen in all of the mafia. And certain things happen to him that he was able to like climb that high in the mafia, and then he has a drastic fall from that rank and that lifestyle. And I'll leave it at that. But he's just a really cool guy. He's very, very quiet. Think Gene from Samurai Champloo, and it's voiced by the same guy, my favorite voice actor, Kirk Thornton. Very quiet guy, very loyal and loving to his friends, and sticks up for what's right most of the time. And he doesn't really have a whole lot in life, but what he does have are his friends, and he sticks up for them, and he does a lot of stuff. What I like most about him is he tries to do stuff not just for him, but for the people around him. And that's something that I wish that, as a person, like I wish that, I could do more in my life. I wish other people would do the same. I think the world would be a better place. You don't have to necessarily go around joining the mafia shooting people just to, hang out with your friends. But just, his core principles with Brandon Heat I really like. And his show is really, really awesome. Please check out Gungrave. One of the most underrated shows of all time. And he has a really cool character arc. It goes from... I like stories where the character kind of goes rags to riches. It goes from nothing to having like everything to kind of having nothing again to sort of reclaiming what he had. And without further ado, this one should be easy. To anybody who's really been watching the show for a long time, or maybe is in a Discord with me, or has discussed anime with me at any point, or maybe has checked out this shirt that I've been wearing for a couple videos, you already know who's going to be number 1 on my Miasma's number 1 male character list thing. Yeah, you know who it's going to be. That is Naraku. My man Naraku. Like I said, I like antagonists. I like manipulative kind of people. I love this guy so much. He's the main villain of Inuyasha, if you've never heard of this guy. Inuyasha is a super long, epic fantasy series. And Inuyasha is... It goes on a little too long, I'll admit that. And a lot of people fault it because it kind of has one core villain. And that is this guy. But that's what I really like about him. And as annoying as it can get, they can't... Like, the main character is Inuyasha. This guy is the main villain, but he has so many underlings, so many people working for him. He's always conspiring the next move. They can't kill this guy. He has this miasma around him, this poison gas, so you can't really get that close to him. He also has poison insects. He has a whole bunch of incarnations that kind of serve him, these like creatures that he makes with part of himself, that each have like different powers and abilities and stuff like that are all could be like antagonists for the most, maybe not all of them. A lot of them could be antagonists of shows in their own right. And a lot of them have like their own arcs where they fight the main cast, but it all boils down to Naraku. And almost pretty much all of the protagonists in Inuyasha have ties to Naraku. He is the bad guy. He is the one that set up a lot of the events. He set up the House of Cards and knocked it down. And people hate him because they've put curses upon their family. He's killed loved ones. He's set people against each other. He, just has a reign of chaos that spans like years and years and years amongst demons and humans alike. And all in the goal of sort of getting more powerful. He was once a human. This would be a little bit of spoiler. He was once human and became a half-demon guy. He literally let demons devour him and become one with them to become more powerful. How insane is that? Oh, I'm not strong enough. I'm going to let these demons devour me, and then I'll become more powerful afterward. You got to be badass for that to happen. You also got to be kind of lucky that they didn't just eat you and shit you out, I guess. But it didn't happen to him. And, I love, like, poison attacks and stuff like that. Poison's my favorite type in Pokemon, too. And I really like it. And I love, like, how he just has a miasma around him. That's why it's my name on this channel. And I just love how he's like, for such a long time, he's like Naraku the unbeatable. And another guy that you love to hate because everybody you like in the show hates this dude and was affected by this dude in a negative way. And you want him gone. You just really want him gone. But that's why I really like Naraku. Let me know down below, guys, who are your favorite male characters of all time? Or do you have any that you think are really underrated, maybe from like a show that you don't think enough people have seen? Because I tried to incorporate that into this series. What do you think about any of the characters on this list? Do you think I had them too high? Do you think that they shouldn't be on here at all? Or they're dumb characters? Let me know. I'm always open to discussion like that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. This is Miasma from Gyre Media, signing out.